You know what really ticks me off and grinds my gears? I've said on this too long, and I just need to get this out there. So stay tuned for this episode because I'm about to let loose. So you mean to tell me the Houston Astros, I don't even talk about the Boston Red Sox, but the Houston Astros can get in trouble for cheating, for breaking the Major League Baseball rules, and basically get a slap on the wrist. Because that's all it was. And if you think I'm going to sit by and let that go over my head and not say something about my man Pete Rose, you're mistaken. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to flip this camera around. We're going to look at some Rose cards, and we're going to discuss my feelings on this. It might be controversial. You guys might disagree with me, but I'm passionate about this, and I will stand my ground. So let's flip this around, look at some Pete Rose cards, and we'll talk about it. Of course, we all know, Pete Rose has been banned from baseball, from being eligible for the Hall of Fame. And after this come down the pike on the Astros, I'm not even talk about Boston, but on the Astros and the fine that was levied against them. We'll talk about that here in a minute. I just want to talk about this. We know about Rose. We know what went on there. Well, let's talk about it. In February 1989, of course, it was suspected up until then that Rose was gambling on baseball. But in February '89, he was formally questioned by then at the time Bart Giamatti, who was National League president, and the commissioner Peter Ueberroth, and questioned about his gambling. Rose vehemently denied any wrongdoing. Denied any allegations, I guess I should say. Well, in April of that year, it's February '89 is when he was questioned. Well, in April of that year, Giamatti took over as commissioner. Can't get that glare off of there. Get away. Get away. Giamatti in April of that year took over as commissioner of baseball. And he hired a lawyer by the name of John Dowd 3 days after he took over to investigate Rose. Dowd interviewed Rose associates and bookies and he made a determination that Rose did bet on games of baseball. As a matter of fact, it was determined that Rose bet on exactly 52 games in 1987. Just so happens this is his 87 manager card. I just wonder what he was thinking sitting there on the bench. But it was reported that Rose wagered a minimum of $10,000 a game. Some say it wasn't quite that high. But under pressure, on August the 29th of 1989, Rose voluntarily accepted permanent ban on the Hall of Fame ineligible list. He accepted it. Never admitted anything at the time. Well, Major League Baseball, the new commissioner, Major League Baseball agreed to make no formal finding in regards to gambling allegations. Now, according to baseball rules, Rose could apply for reinstatement in 1 year after the findings. But Mr. Bart Giamatti said that there was absolutely no deal for reinstatement. That we did not agree on terms of a fixed number of years. Immediately after that, Pete Rose began therapy with a psychiatrist for treatment of all things, a gambling addiction. That was August the 24th when all this come down on Rose. Guess what? Mr. Bart Giamatti died 8 days later of a heart attack. Eight days after announcing Rose's lifetime suspension from the Hall of Fame. Now, the Dowd report, I looked at that, and the Dowd report did say that no evidence was discovered that Pete Rose bet against the Reds, although Mr. Dowd did say that he probably thought that Rose bet against the Reds. His formal report and what is written in the book states that he did not bet against the Cincinnati Reds. Now, the Major League Baseball rule prohibits any betting on any game by any bettor that person or that bettor could be involved in. Making no distinction between betting on, against, or for one's team. Now, Rule 21 states anyone involved, whether that be a player, an umpire, an employee of the team, any league official, shall, if found guilty, shall be permanently ineligible for anything in baseball ever again, including the Hall of Fame. Now, Rose has tried to petition Major League Baseball each time a new commissioner is installed. He has petitioned for reinstatement, and each time the commissioners have never acted upon his reinstatement. In other words, they just pushed it to the side and didn't want to address it. Which leads me to believe that maybe they might overturn it, but they didn't want to be the guy to go against the grain. And no balls. Anyway, my question to you is, what did Rose do? What did Pete Rose do? Well, for one, he broke the rules, right? Can't gamble on baseball. No, that's against the rules. Whether it's your team or against your team, you can't gamble on baseball. Pete Rose hurt no one except himself. He didn't hurt the Reds. If it's true and what the official findings for Mr. Dowd's report says that he only bet for the Reds to win, then he hurt no one. The only person he hurt was himself, because reportedly, by Pete Rose's own words, he lost over $100 million betting on baseball. So now, my question to you is what Pete Rose, is what he's guilty of, is it worse than the Astros, the allegations against that team? Let's talk about that for a minute. So we all know the sign stealing scandal is going on and what's transpired over the last couple of days there. You know, stealing signs, and baseball has always been adamant on this for the most part until recent allegations have arose. But baseball has been adamant that it is okay for the third base coach or signs from the catcher to the pitcher to be stole. But now, how it's done is another story. In 1961, Major League Baseball, the National League, banned any mechanical devices to be used to steal signs. Now, mechanical devices at that time were kind of crude. You're looking at telescopes, stuff like that, binoculars. But now times have changed, right? In 2001, Major League Baseball issued a memorandum stating that teams cannot use electronic equipment to communicate during games for the purpose of stealing signs. Now, before 2019 rolled around, of course, Mr. Manfred, the commissioner, he knew this was going on with the Astros and made many attempts to thwart what was going on to no avail. But he instituted specific locations where teams could set up cameras for like instant replays and stuff like that. Not for sign stealing. But now, like I said, sign stealing has been going on for a long time. The earliest documented account was in 1876. That's right, 1876. 11 years after the end of the Civil War. The Hartford Dark Blues hid someone in a shack with a telescope to steal signs. Hiding someone in a shack. That's pretty funny. In 2001, this is 2001 now, members of the 1951 New York Giants admitted to stealing signs from the Brooklyn Dodgers, once again, using a telescope. Admitted sign stealing with a mechanical device in attempt to gain an upper hand on your opponent, which they did. They won the National League that year. They won the pennant. January the 13th, 2020. Rob Manfred announced that the Astros illegally used video cameras to steal signs in 2017 and 2018. In return, he suspended manager A.J. Hinch and general manager Jeff Lunau. They were suspended for 1 year without pay. But the Houston Astros owner, Jim Crane, fired them both. How convenient. The Astros were also fined $5 million and the loss of first and second round draft picks in 2020, this year, and 2021. I'm not even going to bring to light Mr. Alex Cora or the Boston Red Sox. I will say that the Red Sox have cut their ties with Mr. Cora and got rid of him before things got ugly in the Boston camp. The 2018 World Series champions. So I ask you, what did the Astros do? Now, not a single player was mentioned. Not a single player suffered any consequences whatsoever. They get to keep their World Series rings. What did the Astros do? Well, they just cheated their way straight to a World Series. No repercussions really whatsoever. I mean, you think about it. That $5 million to Jim Crane, he's a multi-billionaire. That $5 billion ain't going to mean jack squat to him. It's a drop in the bucket. And as far as Hinch and Lunau go, yeah, they were suspended for a year and they were fired. But nothing's really happened because they're gone anyway. Now, losing their draft picks, that's not going to hurt them right away anyway. But now, a few years down the road, they might suffer some, their farm teams might suffer some repercussions on that. But you know what? The Houston Astros broke the rules of Major League Baseball. And what did they get? Nothing. Nothing was stripped of them. Nothing was taken away from them. Yeah, okay, the draft picks will probably hurt them worse than anything. But they're going to replace A.J. Hinch, although he was a good manager, and I liked him quite a bit. I can't say that much for Alex Cora. I don't technically know Jeff Lunau, but he put together a great team as general manager there with the Astros, so can't say too much about him. I mean, that team alone, even without stealing signs, pretty good team, regardless. But what did the Astros suffer? Nothing. They gained. They gained a World Series ring. Their players gained better stats. Well, while at home anyway. Maybe not so much on the road, but while at home, their home record and their stats, and it's proven, you can look at it, was better than their road stats. Well, what did it cause? What did it cause in Major League Baseball? Think about this. Think about the poor pitchers that were pitching to these guys from the Astros, the opposing team pitchers. The Astros know the sign, know which pitch is coming, and take full advantage of it because they know what pitch is coming. What did it do to those pitchers? Did they get sent down to the minors? Did it ruin their careers? And what's the repercussions of the poor guys out there on the mound? You know, I don't know. But they had to suffer, right? All I'm saying is Houston Astros basically got nothing for breaking Major League Baseball rules, just the same as Mr. Rose did. And Mr. Rose, what happened to him? Everything got taken from him. His entire career was taken. Pete's career, a career that he set Major League Baseball records unprecedentedly, if that's even a word. Most career at bats, Major League record. Most career plate appearances, Major League record. And the big one, most career hits, Major League record. Most career singles, most career times on base, most career outs, most career games played, most career winning games played. Get that. Most career winning games played. Only player to play at least 500 games at 5 different positions. major league records, all major league records. Most career runs by a switch hitter, major league record. Most career doubles by a switch hitter, major league record. Most career walks by a switch hitter, major league record. Most career total bases by a switch hitter, major league record. Most consecutive seasons of 100 or more hits, 23. 23 consecutive seasons with 100 or more hits, a major league record. Most consecutive seasons with 600 at-bats, he had 17 of those, major league record. Most season with 100 or 50 more games played, he had 17 of those, once again, a major league record. Most seasons with 100 or more games played, he had 23 of those. Just think about that. This guy, you think about Cal Ripken being the Iron Horse and all his consecutive game streak, which is amazing in itself. This guy played 23 years. And all 23 of those years in a row, he played over 100 games. And you think, well, that's not that remarkable. Think about how this man played. They didn't call him Charlie Hustle for nothing. He didn't spend a lot of time on the DL. So all I'm asking, folks, is to think about that. Think about what Pete Rose has lost. And think about what the Houston Astros have gained. Until next time, guys. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless America, and God bless Pete Rose.